Creatives are not a luxury in African societies. They are central to identity, resistance, and economic progress. Yet across the continent, artists continue to struggle for survival. Tonight on Second Take, we examine Namibia's creative sector, the legacy of political artists, and the emerging effort to connect creativity, sport, and tourism. Welcome to Second Take. Across the African continent, from the restless creative corridors of Lagos to the quiet wind-shaped landscapes of Namibia, artists have long carried responsibilities that extend far beyond entertainment. They have functioned as mirrors reflecting society's truths, as megaphones amplifying voices that power structures attempt to suppress, and as midwives delivering the cultural rebirth of nations still defining themselves after the long shadows of colonial rule. In many African countries, the artist is not merely a performer or storyteller, but an interpreter of national memory. They preserve languages that once faced extinction, protect oral traditions that textbooks cannot capture, and articulate the emotional architecture of societies navigating the delicate balance between heritage and modernity. Namibia illustrates this dynamic with particular clarity. As one of Africa's youngest democracies, the country continues to negotiate the psychological aftermath of colonialism and apartheid while simultaneously building a forward-looking national identity. In this context, creatives perform work that policy documents alone cannot achieve. They translate the idea of nationhood into music, poetry, fashion, film, and visual art. They capture the subtle textures of everyday life that statistical data cannot explain. Through these creative expressions, Namibia becomes not just a geographic territory, but a living cultural narrative. Yet, the paradox confronting African creatives is stark. While their cultural contributions are celebrated publicly, the material conditions under which they operate remain precarious. Across Namibia, artists confront an economic environment that often treats creativity as a passion rather than a profession. Musicians rehearse in borrowed spaces, visual artists struggle to afford materials, filmmakers stretch minimal budgets into entire productions, and theater practitioners sometimes perform for audiences who admire their work yet cannot sustain the industry through ticket purchases alone. Many artists, therefore, adopt a double existence: creative practitioner by passion, ordinary wage earner by necessity. They work office jobs during the day and return to studios or rehearsal rooms late at night, sustaining their craft through sheer persistence rather than financial security. This pattern is not unique to Namibia. It echoes throughout the continent. Across Africa, the creative sector operates within economies that frequently prioritize extractive industries, mining, oil, agriculture, while undervaluing the cultural industry's capability of generating long-term intellectual and economic capital. And this is truly the issue across the entire continent. And perhaps the most painful contradiction emerges in the cultural economy surrounding events and performances. Across African cities, international performers are often invited to headline concerts, festivals, and national celebrations. These artists are flown in, accommodated in luxury hotels, and compensated with fees that dwarf the earnings of local performers. Meanwhile, the very artists who sustain the cultural ecosystem of the host country are sometimes offered modest payments, or worse, requests to perform for exposure. Exposure has become a strangely persistent currency in creative economies, a symbolic reward offered in place of financial remuneration. Yet exposure does not pay studio rent, purchase instruments, or cover travel expenses. It cannot sustain a long-term creative career. The result is predictable. Financial pressure accumulates, creative output slows, and many talented individuals eventually abandon their artistic ambitions altogether. Some leave the industry quietly, others migrate abroad, seeking markets that recognize the commercial value of their work. Despite these hardships, creatives remain indispensable to national life. They preserve languages and cultural traditions that history attempted to erase. They generate employment for young people in societies grappling with unemployment. They transform culture into economic opportunity through tourism, festivals, film, and design. And throughout African history, artists have also functioned as powerful political voices. Nigeria's legendary Fela Kuti used Afrobeat to challenge military rule and corruption, turning music into protest and cultural resistance. South Africa's Miriam Makeba, known globally as Mama Africa, carried the pain of apartheid to the world, using her voice and international stage to mobilize global opposition to racial injustice. Namibia too produced its own artistic conscience with the likes of Rashiama. Born in 1966, Rashiama fused reggae rhythms with powerful reflections on Namibia's liberation struggle and social transformation. His music spoke about justice, inequality, and national identity. When he passed away in 2025, tributes poured in across the continent and the world because his work proved something fundamental. Namibian artists do not merely entertain, they shape the nation's moral compass.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
Today, Namibia's creative ecosystem is broader than many people realize. Music, literature, visual arts, film, dance, fashion, photography, and traditional crafts all contribute to a cultural economy employing thousands of people. These industries sustain tourism, generate entrepreneurship, and project Namibian identity onto global platforms. Around the world, creative industries are increasingly recognized as drivers of economic growth and innovation. Recognizing this potential, Namibia has recently committed about 50 million Namibian dollars. This is with regards to the National Arts Council. It is a meaningful step that signals growing recognition that creativity is not simply cultural expression, it is economic infrastructure. But the reality remains that millions are a beginning, not a solution. Artists still lack studios, predictable grants, export support, and stronger protections from exploitation. For Namibia's creative economy to fully flourish, investment must deepen and implementation must accelerate. Which brings us to an important initiative now emerging in Namibia's cultural landscape. The Creative Sport and Tourism Expo aims to bring together three industries that often operate separately, but whose combined power could reshape the country's future. Creativity generates cultural experiences. Sport builds national pride and international visibility. Tourism converts both into economic opportunity. When these sectors intersect, they create an ecosystem capable of generating jobs, innovation, and global cultural influence. The Creative Sport and Tourism Expo, scheduled to take place from 2 to 4 September, seeks to unlock that intersection by bringing together artists, athletes, and entrepreneurs, as well as policymakers, to explore how Namibia can harness creativity, sport, and tourism as engines of development. And with that in mind, we now take you to the launch of CST, when Namibia's Minister of Information and Communication Technology spoke. And she spoke about the Expo, explaining why bringing these sectors together matters for the country's future. She was also joined by Albi Bota, who is the Executive Director of Emerald Sand Platforms and the brain behind this incredible initiative. He will also be sharing his words on Second Take as we embark on this journey that finally starts to recognize creatives not as a micro, but as a macro industry. I'll leave you with CST for the rest of the show. My name is Ashwin Berry. That has been the Second Take.
This Creative Sports and Tourism Expo, an initiative that represents innovation, collaboration, and forward-thinking economic development for our country, is much needed. Ladies and gentlemen, Namibia's leisure tourism offering has for many years been the drive of our brand positioning globally. This has served us well and has maintained Namibia's position as one of the African countries attracting large tourist numbers, peaking at 1.6 million just before the COVID-19 pandemic. And I hope we can get those numbers back, and I know we can. However, ladies and gentlemen, Namibia offers more than just leisure tourism. We're a country that any global citizen should consider investing in, trading with, developing, living in, and of course, visiting. Whether you're a resident, visitor, or just a partner, Namibia offers more than landscapes. We want you to fall in love with our full offering. It is due to this that Brand Namibia was born. Brand Namibia is a strategic initiative led by the government of the Republic of Namibia to create a unified national identity. It positions the country as a premier destination for tourism, trade, and investment by highlighting our unique, authentic, sustainable, and rugged reputation. With this focus, we aim to ensure all our stakeholders experience Namibia's beauty, stories, culture, adventure, and creativity. Fortunately for us, whatever demand our stakeholders may have, we are uniquely positioned to meet their need. Our country offers breathtaking landscapes that stretch from the deserts of the Namib to the powerful Atlantic coastline and the rich wildlife ecosystems that attract global admiration. But beyond our natural beauty, Namibia also possesses something equally powerful: a growing sports culture and an emerging creative economy. The Creative Sports Tourism Expo recognizes that when these sectors work together, they create something far greater than the sum of their parts, the 3 times 3 times 3 Albe was talking about. By connecting tourism, sport, and creativity, this platform has the potential to transform the way Namibia participates in the global tourism and entertainment economy. Of course, the CST Expo is more than just an exhibition. It's a strategic economic catalyst. It brings together tourism operators, hospitality brands, sports federations, athletes, creative entrepreneurs, production houses, investors, and policymakers such as myself under one roof. This is exactly the kind of collaboration required to unlock new opportunities and build industries that are resilient, innovative, and of course, inclusive. Through exhibitions, activations, curated discussions, and commercial networking, the CST Expo will help introduce new tourism products, stimulate partnerships, and unlock sustainable revenue models across multiple sectors that should have been under one roof. It will allow our tourism industry to diversify and move beyond traditional models, embracing experience-led tourism that speaks to modern global travelers. As the ministry responsible for ICT in the country, we also recognize the crucial role of digital platforms, storytelling, and media in shaping Namibia's international image. The creative industries including film, digital media, music, live performance, and content production have the power to turn Namibia's landscapes into global stages. Imagine desert marathons broadcasted worldwide, adventure sports competitions along our coastlines, cultural festivals that celebrate Namibian heritage and creativity, documentaries and digital campaigns that inspire travelers to experience Namibia firsthand. These are not just ideas, these are economic opportunities. The objectives of this Creative Sports Tourism Expo are aligned with Namibia's broader national development priorities. This platform aims to diversify Namibia's tourism economy by integrating the creative and sports industries into the tourism value chain, stimulate economic growth by creating a commercial meeting ground for partnerships, investments, and innovation, support youth development and job creation through new opportunities in sports, media, entertainment, and experimental tourism. Strengthen Namibia's global destination brand by positioning the country as a hub for adventure, performance, culture, and travel. And importantly, to establish a scalable long-term platform capable of generating recurring economic impact across multiple sectors. When we have many brand Namibia discussions, we talk about how there is no really a country that can be likened to ours. We have landscapes in almost all their types in one country. But beyond that, we have the space to accommodate anything that comes our way. Also, when it comes to sport, I can't remember the source of this, Margaret, but you would know. As Namibians, we have the highest percentage of success in most of the sports codes recognized at the Olympics. We do above average when it comes to sports codes all over the world for a country of only 3 million people. We have a special offering as the Republic of Namibia. So, ladies and gentlemen, this vision is particularly important for our young people. Namibia has a talented, energetic, and creative youth population. Many young Namibians are already building careers in sports, digital media, creative production, and event management. Platforms such as CST create pathways for them to transform their passion into sustainable livelihoods. When we invest in platforms like this, we're not only building an industry or industries, we are building opportunities for the next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, this vision also resonates strongly with our national development priorities articulated in our Supper Party Manifesto and, of course, our National Development Plan number 6, which both recognize tourism, sports, and the creative industries as powerful drivers of economic diversification, youth empowerment, and inclusive growth. And this is why Her Excellency the President, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, our President, has consistently highlighted the role of sports, culture, and creativity in nation building, youth development, and economic transformation. And that is why the Arts Council has been allocated 50 million Namibian dollars, an amount never allocated to the arts industry before, to try to create this sector in this industry. The vision of our president reflects a Namibia where sport is not only a tool for health and unity, but also an industry that creates opportunities for athletes, event organizers, broadcasters, and tourism operators alike. And although there are the elderly like Mr. Bota there who says they're not included, I'm sure we can find a space for the elderly as well. Similarly, the creative industries, which include film, music, design, digital media, and cultural expression, are increasingly recognized as strategic sectors capable of generating employment, promoting Namibian identity, and we do need the Namibian identity to be exported. I'm tired of explaining where we are and what we do, what our country is like. We need to do more. And that is why we feel These sectors are strategic in promoting us and launching us onto the global stage. The Creative Sports Tourism Expo speaks directly to this national vision. By bringing together tourism, sport, and creativity, this initiative helps translate policy into practical opportunity. It creates a space where ideas become partnerships, partnerships become investments, and investments become jobs for all Namibians. In doing so, CST contributes meaningfully to the broader national agenda of building a diversified and resilient economy, one that empowers our youth, supports innovation, and positions Namibia as a dynamic destination for global experiences. Distinguished guests, achieving this vision requires partnership. As you know, the government cannot do it alone. The private sector also cannot do it alone.
So the concept of CST is not my concept. The Ministry of Information and Communication Technology plays an important role in shaping the narrative and digital future of our nation. It's also a ministry in which we as Emerald Sand platforms remain accountable to and helping to deliver the goals of a stronger and better Namibia under the vision of Brand Namibia. I'm extremely proud to say today that this very simple broadcast is broadcast on 9 different platforms as we're speaking right now. It's by far the largest platform engagement in the history of this country. And yes, for the record, none of it is paper. We still believe in paper, but paper is just one of, not the 9, but most probably the 11th platform. As soon as we get our radio licenses, we can extend that to the 10th platform as well. Minister, we thank you for your leadership and your continued support on challenging us in the private sector to help share this wonderful story called the Republic of Namibia. We reach over 3 million people every day of our lives. It's really wow what we are able to achieve, but we would never be able to do this without the challenging strategies that this government gives us every day of our lives to say, how do we make this country a better place? So thank you so much for challenging us. Welcome you all. Now, events are very tricky things. We've been doing it for 27 years. So we know what works and what doesn't work, not because we read it, because we made the mistakes. And they say there's no one more powerful than a person who's made more than one mistake. And so we understand the challenges of an event like this. And therefore, an event like the CST Expo cannot be in itself the sum total of the engagement. The CST Expo is a creative sports and tourism expo, is to build a powerful platform to share ideas. It's to uncover the treasures of this Republic of Namibia, but also of our region. We are much bigger than just the Republic of Namibia. Because CST is not merely a 3-day event that's taking place between 2 and 4 September on someone's calendar, it's also a celebration of everything we do throughout the year. It's important that when we work with our partnerships, when we are innovative and creative, that we do this continuously throughout the year. And you will see us actively be in the market around celebrating the concept of CST from the 11th of March until the 11th of March next year. CST has brought together more than 18 strategic partners to date who believe in this vision. 2 of these partners is first and foremost this iconic stadium called Haki Keinkop, which serves as a home to this event, and then one of the great prides of our nation, the Namibian Rugby Union, which has allowed us to share their home to all Namibians. So we thank them as well. These partnerships are just part of a bigger ecosystem that we believe will help working with other institutions, organizations, industries to build the creative sports and tourism sector. We have been very involved with tourism in the last 26 years. We're very proud of what we've been able to achieve. But tourism is so much more than what we've been doing. And we've realized that through the challenges of a very special individual, one day he came to me, or I went to him, Mr. Johan Miller is here today, thank you for making time, and challenged me around sports and tourism in the world of cricket. And it's wow what Cricket Namibia has been able to do with tourism and sports. But there's so much more that we can do. So thank you, Johan. Through someone like the Master of Ceremonies, who's very humble about his poet skills, Ashwin Mbedi, that says that the world of the creative world is not just about sing and dance, but about words as well. The talents that we have in this country around the creative industry is most probably the most unlocked treasure that we have, and we take for granted for many a day. A lot does happen, a lot is happening, but it's totally undervalued. So part of our commitment as ESP is that every single event that we have, we'll make sure that we support the creative industry. We were very involved yesterday morning with a budget review discussion, and we made sure that the creative industry was there as well. It happened to be the same choir called UNAM, but it's not necessarily about them. But it is important to share that the concept of CSD and the Expo is not a single event. If we do not live the brand daily, then no event's going to change it. As a nation, we tend to take too much for granted. So these three sectors, being creative, sports, and tourism, is a multiplying effect. How do we take creativity times sports times tourism? And if you do know a bit about maths, 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 3 is 9. One of my favorite numbers. But 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. It's a bit more than 9. When you start timesing that by 3 again, you realize the multiplying effect. And that's what we're trying to achieve with this Expo, is to create this multiplying effect for creative, sports, and tourism. And by no means do we acknowledge or disacknowledge the fact that a lot is happening. But we seem to struggle in sharing that information. And therefore, a lot of the times things do happen, but do we know about it? They say that when three forces come together, something extraordinary happens. It's called experiences.